On this week's show,
we talk about Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, that's on Netflix.
We talk about The Umbrella Academy.
That's on Netflix too.
And we talk about The Punisher.
Hang on, that's on Netflix too.
And we talk about some bloke called George R.R. Martin who can't be asked to finish a book. But I digress. We'll talk about The Night Flyers.
Hang on, that's on Netflix too. Can you see where we're going with this? Guess what? We talk about Netflix. Stay tuned. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks and gamers, people who are time travelers, people who like Star Trek Discovery and crazy, people that are normal and don't like Star Trek Discovery, Picard fans, Janeway fans, because that was real Star Trek, the Orville fans, people who watched The Punisher and thought it was mediocre. George R. Martin finished writing that fucking book before you bring out Night Flies. People that like VR Ace of Combat, because that's awesome. It's this week's Monkey Nut Punch podcast, and you can tell the suave and the sophisticated host that only comes out once in a while is back, and I did it, and I nailed that. I nailed it, didn't I? Nice. Come on.
Oh, come on!
It was better than I've ever done before.
It was nice and slick until you started bigging yourself up, and then you fucked it, mate.
As you can tell, we no longer have a Captain Birdseye down. He's back from his sickbed. He's alive. Unfortunately for some, including his wife. But Nigel, say hi, mate.
Hey, you alright?
And you might have told that, unfortunately, we have another man down. Unfortunately, his ego got so big, it exploded, and he had to go to hospital. Gareth, joking aside, is unfortunately unwell and suffering from a chest infection. He did manage to record something with me earlier because he was so desperate to shit on Star Trek Discovery that he felt that he had to call me, and coughing and sputtering, he got off his chest what he wanted to say, and he wanted to save Nige from me ranting about it. So we have got a recorded segment. So what are we covering on this week's show? Right, well, me and Nige are going to talk about Netflix's new series, The Umbrella Academy, and then we're going to have a general shooting the shit about the state of Netflix and things around that. Then Gareth and me, we shit upon Star Trek Discovery, as we always do. We big up the Orville, as we always do. Gareth then covers The Punisher and George R. Martin's I Can't Be Asked to Write a Fucking Book for 10 Years. Night Flyer, and then we also talk about The Punisher. And to finish it off, we got a little bit of video gaming chat where Gareth talks about Ace of Combat VR missions, which sounds absolutely epic, actually. I'm a bit of a flight sim fan, and I would love to try that. So hopefully I'll get to it. Anyway.
Did you say Ace of Combat?
Ace of Combat, yes. Or is it Ace of Combat?
It's Ace Combat.
Oh, fuck it.
Ace Combat. Gareth, if he was here, he'd be spitting feathers, mate.
He'll be going, Rob!
It's his favourite game.
Ace Combat VR missions. Yep. Okay? All right? We good?
Done it.
Right.
Nailed it.
Sorry, thanks, mate.
Done it in one.
I had to get something wrong this week. It wouldn't be me otherwise, would it? Anyway, let's get into it. Nige, we both watched the first episode of The Umbrella Academy. What did you think of this weird and wonderful thing that is?
It's like the X-Men, but bitchy.
Yes.
If I think about it. Because you've got, the premise, it's on Netflix. Okay, fine. If you've got Netflix, just check it out. You've got, apparently the year is 1977. And suddenly, out of nowhere, 43 people, women, of course, suddenly become pregnant. So they woke up that morning and they were completely normal. And by the end of the day, they were pregnant and gave birth to a child, and they were sat there a bit like, what the fuck just happened? And it was all a bit fucking weird. Then you've got this eccentric person, billionaire, who goes, do you know what? I've heard about this thing. And so he goes round all these people trying to see if the children are actually wanted, seeing as they're a bit of a, not a miracle, but I don't know what you'd call it, out of the ordinary. So he manages to, I don't know if it's the right way to describe it, but he manages to secure 7 of them by giving the parents of these children whatever they want, really, because he's a billionaire, he can do that. Then he raises them in this sort of mansion, not quite a mansion that you're typically used to. It's a mid-terraced mansion, isn't it? And they grow up, and it doesn't actually show you them growing up very much. It just sort of jumps into them being adults and something's happened and all that stuff. And I don't.
It's based on a comic book from one of the more obscure publishers. I think it's Dark Horse Comics, if I remember rightly. I have the first series of this. There are 2 other volumes, but I have the first series of this. The comic book is delightfully weird as well. But I kind of remember liking the comic book. So far, it's quite close to the comic book.
Oh, is it?
But I don't know if they're going to have guts to do what the comic book does, because obviously they kind of haven't explained how 43 women become pregnant. The comic book basically tells you what they are. Potential spoilers, guys. So I'm going to slightly spoil it for Nigel, so sorry, because I don't know if they're going to do this or not. But in the comic book, it's God, and they are collectively the return of the Messiah.
Well, if you wiki it, it actually says here, it is hinted by a character implied to be God that they are collectively a modern day incarnation of the Messiah. So that's what it's implied. I'm pretty sure in the Bible only one person was impregnated by not being touched, and that was Mary. So why 43 on this occasion, I don't know. But
I honestly haven't. I've been meaning to order the other 2 volumes off Amazon. I've got the editions, or sort of the single editions of the first series, which I really quite enjoy, because that was when I was heavily collecting comic books, and I did enjoy it. I just haven't got the other 2. And in fairness, the third one only came out, I think, last year or maybe the year before. It's very, very recent. But yes, in the comic, the character is implied to be God, that hints that these are the collective modern day Messiah. I don't know where it's going with this, because I can't. I started watching the second episode, then my wife got me doing something before we started this, and Mary J. Blige turns up. She's quite good actress, actually, as a time traveling assassin. So it's interesting to see where they go with this. But I enjoyed it. I loved the opening episode of the character who supposedly doesn't have any powers, playing the violin. Quite amazing. I loved that whole opening scene. Was brilliant. But then the music that she was playing is one of my. I know I'm going to sound really sad here. I really like that music, but I know where it's from.
We were listening to that music. No, I recognised the music, and we were sitting there looking at each other, going, "I recognise this music. Why? I don't know. I recognise it, but I've got no clue."
It's Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, is it?
It's the very first stage musical I ever saw. And I was lucky enough, and I was young, but I was lucky enough to see Michael Crawford in it, and Sarah Brightman. I saw it very early. I was very, very young when it was on the stage, but it's always stuck with me. scare me as much as it probably should have done as a kid, but I was more captivated by the music, so I've always loved that music, and that edition of it, I loved it. I loved the opening scene. The bit at the end is brutal but quite cool, because just when they walk in, it's like you know what's about to happen here, and it does, and it's brutal. And
did that remind you of a scene in X-Men where you've got oh god, it's not the blue guy, the guy who can disappear, evaporate, and move somewhere else? And although this was near the end of the episode, that one was an opening scene to kill a president, wasn't it, in X-Men? Yeah. It reminded me very much like that, the way he moved. And the thing is, you do not know why they're after the kid yet. I expect that's going to come later, but he does. He comes back and he appears out of nowhere after the funeral, or whatever, and they're all like, "You're not going to tell us where the fuck you been?" And he's like, "Nah." It's like he doesn't trust any of them, and you find out later in that episode that he seems to only trust number 7. Who is Vanya, the violinist? Because and I quote, because she's normal.
Well,
so we're sitting there. Yeah, he thinks that she's normal, and me and the wife both think that something's going to happen for her not to be normal anymore, and she'll just a late bloomer with her superpowers or whatever she got. But it was nice the way they showed us. In the bank robbing scene, the children when they're 15 years old or so, and what their powers are, and you're always wondering the girl, God, what was her name? The Rumor, Alison.
Mm-hmm.
The Rumor. You're going, well, why have they called her a Rumor or something? But she just needs to sort of suggest something to somebody. Like in the bank scene, she suggests to one of the bank robbers, I heard that you're going to shoot your mate over there in the foot. And he looks at her and goes, what? Turns and shoots him in the foot. And then all hell breaks loose. And then you got the kid, who is deceased. Was that number 4? 5?
4, I think.
No, number 5 is the one who comes back from the future.
Yeah.
A time traveller. And he's annoyed because he's never been given a name. Not even everyone else is given a name, like Vanya.
Yeah, but they're given a name by Mother, which is a robot.
Yeah, you saw that bit. She's a robot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wondering, at one point you're sitting there going, why is this fairly young woman in her maybe 30s? Mid-30s, dating a bloke who's clearly in his 70s, apart from for the money and whatnot, and she doesn't really show much emotion at all when Vanya turns up, and you wonder what the fuck's going on there. And they're telling Vanya, you shouldn't be here. And I was thinking, so what's she done? And then Vanya's written a book about being number 7, because everyone, from her perspective, she's not normal compared to the rest of her family. So she's written a book about her experiences and so forth. And number 5, the time traveller, has come back from the future and said to her, I did read your book when I was in the future. And he sort of explained that although he's been away for 17 years, for him, it's been 45 years. I'm not quite sure how that is. Maybe he kept time jumping. During that 17 years, he's kept time jumping to different time areas or whatever, I'm assuming, to build up that amount of time. It's more than double. So he comes back a kid and everyone else is like mid-20s, mid-20s, early 30s, aren't they? It's weird.
I'm just trying to remember, because the monkey, I think, was a gorilla in the comics. I'm just trying to Google it, because it's been a while since I missed a talking chimp. No, he is a chimp in the thing.
It makes you wonder where he got the ability to talk for. I don't know what I thought when I was watching this, and it had there was even a flying car or something in one of the scenes. It like flew across the scenery.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, God, what is this, 2077? But
No,
I wikied it, and I was like, no,
because
it's not.
Because the professor guy is not who or what you think, and
So he's an alien.
yes. Sorry, spoilers. Yes, he is. And I think the TV series is going there. I mean, it's doing things slightly differently to the comics because I'm just reading up on it. I'm familiarizing myself with it because it's been a while since I read it. But yes, I remember the Monaco or Sir Reginald Hargreaves was an alien.
Right, yeah.
But the thing is, watching this, it reminded me of quite a few different things. You can tell it's been influenced. It's definitely, it feels slightly influenced by Legion, which is really weird.
I don't think I've seen that.
No, it's the X-Men TV series with the guy out of Downton Abbey that got killed. And it's about basically Professor X's son, but it seriously is off the walls, batshit drug-induced crazy shit. And
What, Legion or this?
yeah, Legion. No, Jesus Christ, it's absolute thing. But I'm kicking myself because there's something else, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. Oh, give me a second. Oh God, blue.
So, do you find you like the characters in their own way?
I like the kid. I like the kid. The kid who's playing the kid that's playing number 5 is interesting. But
Yeah.
it's
Do you know what? I saw him and I went, I know who this kid is, because my children watch a lot of Nickelodeon.
Is he Nickelodeon?
And he's from Nickelodeon TV. I think it's called Nicky, Ricky, Dicky, and Dawn. They're quadruplets, and he's one of the quadruplets. So yeah, he's only 15, but he's been about for a while.
He's quite a good actor.
Doing Nickelodeon. Yeah, he seems it, and
he's irritating, but he's irritating as the character. The other thing that reminded me a little bit is Watchmen. That was it. The guy with the blue guy with the dick.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So there's a TV series coming in with that as well soon.
I don't know if I could put myself through it. I tried watching The Watchmen.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be like that.
I was so bored.
I know you either love The Watchmen or you don't. Curiously,
it was one of the only films I've just got like midway, maybe 3/4 through, and went, I really do not even care what goes on now. I'm turning it off. So, anyway, I don't want to talk about Watchmen.
No. Curiously, though, that's Zack Snyder, that film. It says a lot. But no, it feels influenced by a couple of things. Legion to a less extent, because Legion is just so batshit crazy. But I'm definitely applying Gareth's 4-episode rule, but so far I quite like it. I think it's quite interesting. It's bringing me in, which is what it should do. It's certainly keeping the to the comic book reasonably well. I think the CGI effects of that chimp are really good for a TV series. I mean,
yeah, it looks really good.
Really, really good. And yes.
So should we talk? Sorry.
I want to see where this story is going. We should talk about Netflix, but I should interrupt you because I was told to interrupt you.
I'm not going to move on just yet. I just want to mention you got Space Boy, Luther, the big lad, number 1.
Mm.
He starts off in space, and you're thinking, why is he living in space? And he's got a fucking dumpster full of shit that obviously nobody's collecting. And somehow he got back to Earth really quickly. Mm-hmm. I mean, really fucking quickly. And then you've got the Kraken, Diego. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing he's the kid who we saw turn into some monster thing. Mm-hmm. No, that's number 6.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So the Kraken
Diego
is number 6.
Diego is the knife throwing wielding guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought that was Klaus. Oh no.
It's Diego.
No. Yeah, you're right, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah. No. You're right. He's number 2, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So number 3 is the rumor, which is the person who's meant to be an actress, the girl. Then you've got the they call it a seance or seance.
It's played by the
Klaus.
Yeah, Irish weird druggy dude.
Yeah, he's an absolute druggie and drugs and alcohol, and he's a bit fucking nuts. And they were meeting up in the front room, weren't they? And what's her name? Alison, the rumor, sort of turns to him and go, "Is that my skirt you're wearing?" He's like, "Yeah." Although it is a little bit breezy, you know, around the bits.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It's like, dude's wearing it naked. He's gone proper Scottish. But it fits with his personality and so forth that he can talk to the dead, doesn't it? Because he's a little bit weird, really.
Number 5.
So it does fit with his character.
Number 5 is the time traveling kid, and number 6 is the dead one.
Number 6 is you find out in the first episode, so we're not spoiling anything. You never see him apart from as part of the team mashup, helping the bank out. It's the only time you see him, and when Klaus is talking to him later on, and one of his brothers, who he's with, sort of looks in the rearview mirror of his car and goes, "Who the fuck's he talking to?" He's not there, you know. So he's called the Horror. Number 6 is the Horror, also known as Ben. And the White Violin, which is Vanya. You don't know she's called the White Violin yet, but this is what Wiki tells me. So that's all of them. I'm looking forward to see what happens with Vanya. I'd like to know a little bit more about Space Boy, because he and the Kraken had a little bit of a tiff and a fight, and the Kraken chucked a knife at him. And not pierces, but cut his skin, and he's up in his bedroom later, and the amount of hair that bloke has got, he's got more. It's a good foot long coming off his arm, and you're sitting there going, "Is he part gorilla or something?" Do you know what I mean? Have I hit nail on head?
Maybe.
But he looked fucking They keep mentioning about how huge he is, how big he is, and he does look fucking beefy, doesn't he? So maybe he's part gorilla, part human, part gorilla, or whatever, or it was a gorilla who gave birth to the human, and hence.
I'll let you work that one out. I won't spoil it for you, but
that's all the kids. That's all the kids. I thought it's worth mentioning all of them. So there is a bit of variety in there, and what they can do, and the dynamic between the family as they are. They all know they were adopted. They all know that the bloke was sort of monitoring them rather than treating them as sons and daughters and whatnot. They even show that They all went to go say goodnight to him, and they opened the door up, and he didn't even look up. He just kept writing in his little book. Didn't look up, and everyone went away a bit pissed off, actually. And yeah, it's one of those weird ones where none of the kids are actually bothered that he's dead, except for maybe Space Boy. He seems a bit bothered, but he thinks he's been killed.
Yeah, that's the crux of it. I think it's good. So it's worth a watch.
I think it is, because we watched the first one, and we had about 20 minutes before we started here, and my wife was like, "Are we going to watch the next one then?" So I'm going upstairs. She goes, "Oh God, I'm going to go record with Keith. We'll watch it after." So she's keen to watch this one. So
that's good.
Definitely one to carry on with and hope. I think they added a little bit of a hook in that episode, because near the end, obviously, number 5 and number 7 are talking after number 5's little brush with, I don't know what they are. Time travelling army people, I don't know, special force or whatever, I don't know who they are, but they're chasing number 5, presumably after he's done something. And he goes to number 7's house and talks to her and says, I can trust you, and then says, in 8 days, da 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 da. So if you're going to watch it, I won't say what the 8 days are, but there's a bit of a hook near the end, and you go, yeah, I'd like to kind of find out what this is.
Mm-hmm.
So, first reactions for a new series. I'm not hooked, but I'm intrigued, and maybe the second episode can shed a few bits of light on a few things and hook me further. In which case, I will be fully hooked, I think.
The first episode did its job. Yeah, the first episode did its job. Hooked me in, or basically started reading me in. I want to see the second episode. I quite like it so far. I like the quirkiness around it. It is a bit quirky. It's quirky with its choices of music. It's quirky with the atmosphere that it's setting. But it's interesting. Definitely want to see the next episode. As I said, it is influenced by certain things, and you can see those influences there. I'll be interested to see what Gareth makes of it and what he thinks when he watches it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's well worth a watch. I was told to interrupt you like halfway through. I won't. So I'm going to insert, Mr. Ego himself here, quick, to the Batcave. And you'll understand what that is, Nigel, when you listen to it.
Right, this is how it goes. I am not well. I am feeling very, very under the weather, and you can hear it in my voice. So Keith has been dragged onto a quick Skype call so we can talk about a lot of stuff that's happened this week. So we're just going to cover some of the basics. So we'll start off where we always start off, with shitting on Star Trek Discovery. And then bigging up the Orville after. And then we've got some other topics. I have this bell, so Keith can move on because my time here is limited. And that doesn't mean I'm dying. It just means I want to climb back into bed soon. So with that cough, let's move on. Let's start. Right, come on, quick before I die.
Right, Star Trek Discovery this week. Wow, what a PC fuckfest that was, wasn't it, this week? I mean, okay, so the two females are the heroes, yet again. The two most unbearable, unlikely characters are the heroes. Plus Stamets. You see, I don't want to shit on Stamets too much, because I quite like Stamets. I do, I quite like Stamets. But it's just, it's the symbology that it sends out. Star Trek Discovery can't have a straight white male or any kind of straight male character as a hero. It just can't be done, because that would be apparently bad in Star Trek Discovery's world, and we just can't do it. Another thing to try and quell the canon people this week was that, when the Section 31 tap fucking combag pads, what's that technology? That's not a real communicator. Like, just shoehorned line in there from Pike. But I like Captain Pike, and he's just not given enough airtime. It bothers me. It's pissing me off.
It's annoying because normally he'd be the fucking lead, and everyone would be going around that guy, and the guy could pull off being the lead very easily. But as I said before, there's reason that it's not there are not airlocks on planet Earth, so you can't flush people out into space. I would just like to point out the really shit, uninspired special effect that they had to indicate they were in the mycelial network, which they had one really good one, which was from within the network you saw Discovery kind of poke its nose in, and then you had the shit one where it span around, like doing a car doing a donut in a car park, and then they just went donk and then just wedged it in, like someone had got a PlayStation controller, controlled the little thing and just went there. That'll fucking do. It looks so shit.
Well,
it's not because sorry, it's not because it looked visibly shit. It just looked so uninspired.
It's kind of weird, because that's unlike Star Trek Discovery, because the one thing we can't really shit upon is its special effects, but Yeah, it was a bit, and oh god, the actress that they got to play the the mycelial whatever they are, she's shit. I'm sorry, but her acting is just bad, and it's just like, oh Tilly, you're so good. Oh Tilly, you're amazing. Fuck off. How
Yes.
many times do we have to big up a character that blatantly isn't? No offense. I'm sure Tilly would be a lovely girl, but she's not Starfleet material. She just isn't. She's clever. She's a scientist. She's not command material. Stop bigging her up every 5 minutes. She doesn't need to be. The character is quite intelligent. The character can stand on her own intelligence. We don't need her being propped up every 5 minutes to be made out, that she's so good. We get it. She's just not good at command. And
Yeah.
but there's one thing I'm surprised you haven't shat upon yet, is the whole magically bringing Stamets' husband back to life thing. That somehow explained as science.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm not that surprised. The reason I'm not that surprised is they had been hinting at it.
Oh, I knew he was
If that
coming
makes
back.
sense.
It was just the method they did it in it. I'm half expecting you to shit upon it, going that magic isn't science.
I'll be honest with you. I've given up with Star Trek Discovery being Star Trek or being science fiction, and I'm just watching it for the sake of watching it. I remember there was an interview with the actor who was very disappointed that he was killed off. And Ash Tyler or Clem Fandango, he looked very, how can I put it? Very uneasy when he found out that he was still alive. That would have been such a fucking interesting conversation. It's like, I think I'm the person who killed you.
It's going to be interesting next week, because Ash Tyler's still on the ship. So Ash Tyler or Agent Ash Tyler, as he is now, because, Section 31.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that they changed the tractor beams to be more like the B5 tractor beams. Because in B5, they have like gravity snares or whatever they call them, rather than tractor beams. And they're like beams, which they put around the ship to kind of pull it in. Instead of being the classic tractor beam.
I don't know if that was on purpose, that we're not using the classic ship because this is a Section 31 ship and, capable of holographic projection and all that bullshit.
I'd just like to point out that the set really, really, really looked like the Destroyer set from Expanse this week. Because I think last week they filmed it from the upper level when we saw it, so you didn't get a feel for it. But when they filmed it from the lower level, you were like, kind of, where's Win? There's wind around it. I'm waiting to shoot you.
I've seen this set before.
I believe I've seen this set before. Yeah, it's a Romulan fucking warbird too. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
which kind of gets me. Anyway, Keith.
Yes,
Orville
the Orville.
Now.
I have decided one thing about the Orville. I really, really hate Bortus's husband, and I hope he dies in a most dreadful and terrible way.
Hang on. This is the really annoying thing it's the guy who plays Fred Johnson in fucking Expanse.
I know.
Which I didn't know until that point, because he doesn't remotely look like him. But it's when I stop and close my eyes and listen to his voice, I go, shit, it is him. Because they did such a good job with the makeup. And they make him look short. And I mean really short, even though he's not.
I have come to the conclusion he has to die now, because he's just a dreadful person. He just is. And Bortus is obviously evolving into more of a progressive, is the only way to say this, but in a good way. I mean, at least this has been done. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Orville is at times is stinking of a little bit of progressiveness, but it's been done in a way that's at least written well.
I don't want to sound. I'm going to sound rude, because if you're going to put politics in it, you do it like the Orville does.
Yes.
I don't mind it like that. I will accept it like that, because I can pick it up and leave it. And it doesn't tend to ruin a story, and it's not being crammed down my throat. It's being done very politely and very subtly. It was good. Who's the new chief? I can't remember who his new chief is.
Yes,
she she was good because I miss the Lara character because she had some really good stories in the last season, and this one I can't remember her name. She got a really good story too. Bortus's other half is
he's an arsehole. I mean, every story he's featured. I mean, look what he did when Bortus was a daughter, not a thing. He kind of completely shat over Bortus on that. Then he tries to kill Bortus because, unsurprisingly, Bortus is looking elsewhere because, you're an arsehole. So he tried to kill him. And then he did this week. I mean, he's just an arsehole. There's nothing redeeming about him. And I think the Orville want you to think he's an arsehole.
But maybe they'll redeem him. Maybe that's what they'll do. They'll redeem him. Because
he's got a lot of redemption to need to be done.
Hang on a second, because I'll be honest with you, that redemption is more Star Trek.
True.
Isn't it?
True.
So I think there's a good chance they'll redeem him. Bortus kind of explained how the Mocklins are like they are, and the fact that they had such a tough time surviving as a species. And that explains why they can eat glass and bloody forks and whatnot. And how, like even if you're a Mocklin and you try and commit suicide, the fucking shame on the rest of your fucking family and whatnot is that. So he is painting it. This is a tough society that was brought up in a tough environment, and that's why they're like they are. And at the same time, they're clearly useful to the Union because they have kind of advanced technology. Hence the dude with the deflector. So yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know how they're going to deal with it.
No, I don't either. There was one thing though. I think the theory that what's her face's boyfriend was a Skrull has kind of gone out the window now because you just dumped him.
Skrull, a krill,
a krill. That's it. Sorry, wrong thing.
Skrull, wrong universe,
krill.
Mate.
Wrong universe. But you know what I mean. The theory that he was going to be like the other one. I think that now is possibly not so true.
It might be true. They might sit there and they might do a thing with you because that would be quite interesting. The downside is you haven't I can't remember a male character that hasn't been killed who was a krill, so it wouldn't work as well. But I've got a feeling they haven't had much dealing with the krill. I think they're going to have some dealing with them this season towards the end. I think they're building towards something. I don't know what it is. But I think that they're subtly building towards something that you're not paying attention to, which I kind of like the idea of. I really want a few more Star Trek-like episodes because most of them are character pieces, which isn't a bad thing. But I do like watching it for like the Star Trek style episodes.
Even with the character building episodes, it feels more Star Trek than Star Trek Discovery.
Oh God, yes, yeah, no. The character building episodes are not good. It's just my personal preference.
No,
I like
get
the away team that's gone wrong. That's pretty much the setup for a fucking Star Trek episode. The away team, it's gone wrong, and then they have to fix it, and they're usually against some kind of clock. Because that's all that's what happens, and that's that was the setup for the whole thing. Anyway, sorry, Keith. All right. I want to talk about Ace Combat VR. Because I've been dragging out Ace Combat for the last couple of weeks, and I finished it. I finished it last night, and then I was like, I should really try the VR, and I popped the VR on, and it's the fucking greatest VR thing I've ever done. I'm not joking. I was playing it, and I was like flabbergasted. The only problem I've got is the scaling is slightly out, so I feel like a huge man in a tiny cockpit of an F-18 Super Hornet. And it's great because you're flying around and you're trying to get your beat on an enemy and whatnot, and you can track them with your eyes and guide the plane to match. And it's just that you feel like you're in a plane. It's just. I let my brother play it and he thought it was fucking excellent.
You see, you let me play on your VR, and I was pretty impressed with the X-Wing thing. I really like that. So if it's better than that, then I assume it probably is. Then I'm sold already. Yeah, I mean, I was sold on the X-Wing thing. So, is this a full game or is it like a demo thing like the Star Wars thing?
It's not. I think it's got four missions in there, which is really annoying.
Is it more extensive than the X-wing thing?
Oh yes, more extensive than the X-wing one.
What?
So I love taking off and landing. Because taking off and landing, it's just a bit. Yeah, there's a bit of feeling that they need to adjust for takeoff and landing because there's not enough. It doesn't give you this sense of inertia when you land the plane. Because I kind of landed the plane on this aircraft carrier, and there wasn't a clunk and a shake to say I got caught by the catapult.
Mm-hmm.
So because if you don't know, aircraft carriers have catapults underneath them.
I know about aircraft carriers. We've got a ruddy great big American one sitting off the coast of here at the moment. Really, I saw it. I had the drone up, and you can see it with the drone. I daren't go close to it though.
Dude, I'm not joking. They've got guns on there that could shoot that fucking drone with a single bullet from a mile out.
Well, it was a good 4 miles away, but you could see it clearly. It's fucking huge, massive thing.
But I played it. I did one air-to-air mission, one air-to-ground mission. I don't know what the next mission is. But I let my brother play on it, and it was his first time playing VR. And I let him play a load of other VR stuff, and he went, the Ace Combat one's the best. Because VR works best in like a cockpit situation, be it a tank, a plane, a spaceship, a car. If you're in that kind of cockpit thing where you're controlling a vehicle and you're looking around, it just works. It doesn't work so well for like FPSs, but I'm fucking smitten by the whole thing. So awesome.
Sounds it as well. It sounds like you're having fun.
When you come back to the UK, seriously, mate, come around, have a go on it, and we can sort something out.
You don't have to ask me twice. I'm up for that because I really did genuinely enjoy the X-wing thing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, hang on. I'll finish watching The Punisher.
Congratulations! I still can't get into it.
It's not very good. This is like someone described it as like this would be season 5, just before the show wraps up and goes away. It was there's some bits in it that were quite good, and some bits in it which weren't. The bad guys, there was only really one bad guy, which was Annette O'Toole from Smallville and Superman, and her husband, and I can't remember his name.
Annette O'Toole.
They were the only two bad people. Sorry?
Which one was she?
She was like the senator's wife.
Oh, yeah.
She was Martha Kent.
Yes.
Martha Kent in Smallville. And Lana Lang in Superman. So they're the only two bad guys in it, because you had the kind of preacher guy going around, and they kidnapped his children and holding his wife and that hostage, so he would do the bad deeds that they needed him to do, and they were going to fucking dispose of him and whatnot, and this all horrible manner of shit. So yeah, it's that's the first problem, because when you watch like Daredevil, you had two clear bad guys. You had Fisk, who was playing mind games and fucking with like people on a certain level, and then you had Bullseye, who was a physical threat. And you never got the sense that Castle would lose at any one point. You were more worried about how Castle was going to get away than anything else. It didn't set. It's annoying because there were bits in it to like, but it wasn't enough. It was boring, which is not, because sometimes you can have a TV show that's so crap it's interesting. Star Trek Discovery is an example of a TV show that's so crap it's interesting, because it's just nice. You're watching a fucking car crash, and because you're watching a car crash, it's interesting to how are you going to fuck it up this week, guys? But it wasn't that level. So yeah. And how far have you seen into it?
I watched the first episode, but the thing is, you see, the first season of Punisher did. I watched the first episode and just wasn't into it. Then I started watching it about 4 months later, and I really got into it and watched the whole thing. I think you have to be in a certain mood to watch the Punisher, and I'm not in that mood at the moment. And there's other stuff that I'm watching that I'm quite enjoying. I think I just need light entertainment at the moment, and as you said, car crash TV like Discovery. So yeah, I will watch it, but it's also knowing the fact that it's probably already cancelled, and the fact that Marvel doesn't seem to be fussed by this universe that Netflix has created. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a multitude of things that are just putting me off at the moment.
Yeah. The first Punisher was good because it was a real thriller. It was a real thriller because it was like trying to find out who was behind it, and then you found out who was behind it, and then it was like, how are you going to catch him up? And you had all these questions that were going through. But with this one, you had like, what did the girl do? Why are these people chasing her? And what's Billy Russo going to do next? And that was it. And it was none. The other questions had no significance. So yeah, it wasn't. It was a real fucking letdown. It's annoying because that what's his name? John Bernthal and the guy Ben Barnes were really respectful to the fans.
Yeah.
Unlike other people, they were really respectful to the fans, and they knew that their fan base was made up of police officers and ex-army people and comic book people, and they were never rude to them, and they went out of their way to be polite to them, despite maybe having different politics, which is annoying because people are forgetting that shit now. And you kind of want to reward them for good behaviour, but you can't really reward them with that kind of effort that they put in. Even though I don't think it's their fault, I think that as actors and whatnot, they put in the effort. Anyway, Night Flyers.
This is the George R. Martin thing, isn't it?
George
I can't finish a fucking book, Martin.
Martin. Yeah, it's I watched it. I started watching it, and I'll be honest with you. It started off, it was crap. It did. It felt like someone. It felt like they fucked up making Origin.
Okay.
That's what it felt like. I was just like watching it. It's like, this is not. They're not. I can't remember what happened that then pulled me in, because it starts off, and they've made the horrible mistake of showing you what happens in the future, and then that then removes all tension. It works at the beginning of an episode if it's just for that episode. Yeah. The only times that I think it's worked is B5, where they had Londo and Jakar, and he says that it goes, Centauri have the ability to see the future, and I saw a guy strangling me, and the first time I met Jakar, it was him. Yeah. And then they played on that. So it's like you see him seeing the future, and you see them two as old men killing each other. And then by the time it actually gets to it, you find out there's a different fucking truth behind that. Yes. They're not killing each other because they're enemies. They're killing each other. He's doing him a favour by killing him. Because things have been put in place so he can save his people and whatnot, and Jakar's helping him out, and they become the best of friends and whatnot. I
always did like that twist. I thought that was a really good twist in B5.
It was.
And they were two of my favourite characters in B5. I loved Jakar, and I liked Londo. Londo was the one that you loved to hate, but it was more complex than that. It wasn't just Londo wasn't just a simple bad guy.
Yes.
And
he was.
That's what I liked about that. Yeah, if you haven't seen Londo. B5, go and bloody watch it. It's amazing.
There's a speech that Jakar makes when the Centauri beat because he's a race of people called the Narn after the type of bread.
How many Narns does it take to change a light bulb?
No, you won't notice how many Centauri does it take to change a light bulb? 1. But in the great days of the Centauri Republic, we would have 1,000 servants change 1,000 light bulbs on a single whim. That's how the joke goes. But Jakar makes this fantastic speech after the Centauri beat the Narn, and he gets kicked off the council. And it's great because it doesn't work without Londo yelling at the council to kick him off the council. Yeah? Because they're like kind of... You've got Sheridan and Delenn, and they're trying to be reasonable and whatnot. He goes, oh no, we'll wait for everything to happen. We'll protect the guy. Says, no, kick him off fucking now. That's pretty much what he says, yeah? And then Jakar stands up, and he makes this speech about fucking tyrants and whatnot. And you're like, that's a fucking speech and a half. It's one of the best speeches ever in a fucking TV show. And the guy delivers it perfectly. which is good. He was the. I know that Myra Furlan had most of the monologues. He had the best monologues because they were always meaningful and good. So, yeah. But anyway, going back to Night Flyers, I can't remember when it started getting interesting. I think it was. No, I can't remember. I think I just grinned and bared the first couple of episodes, and then it just got better. There's a couple of actresses in there that I think I'm going to be polite and turn around and say diversity hires rather than quality actors and actresses, because there's like the second in charge of the ship, this bald guy, and he's like kind of like sinister and whatnot, and does a really good job. But you've got this person who's supposed to be this modified human, and she's. I don't believe that she is. I think she's an actress, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where you've got the captain who's apparently locked himself away in the aft of the ship and then only going around as a hologram. Yeah, really good. Bit camp, bit villainy camp, but I completely buy him. And then you've got the guy who's the telepath, who's what I think they call him L3s or something on those lines. He's really good. He's a bit of a geezer. So my brother would probably like that. And then they got this mystery of the Vulcan or whatever they call them that they're trying to get near, and apparently they're producing telepathic waves, causing everything to go a bit weird. It's good. It's not great, and there's a chance that it might fall into the toilet. I don't think it's Game of Thrones in space, which people were probably hoping for, especially when they had George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not George R.R. Martin that really is responsible for the TV show. I mean, that guy, the entire time that TV show has been on air, he is meant to have finished the last book. I mean, is it nearly fucking 10 years now? It pisses me off, actually. I think.
Can I point something out?
Mm.
The Expanse pretty much started when he finished that novel. And they're like 8 in, I think, at the moment, and due to have their 9th one in, and then the 10th one will then finish the whole story off, which I don't want because I like The Expanse.
It's just George. Every time I see George R. R. Martin, just write the fucking book, you lazy bastard.
Don't you? See, part of it might be a fucking anxiety thing that is built up to such a fucking level now that book's going to be shit regardless.
Yeah, but it's the fact that he keeps saying next year, and it's been the next year for the last 5 fucking years. I've given up. I'm looking forward to the end of the TV series, but the books, nah, don't care.
Okay. Have you watched any of Night Flyers?
No, not yet.
Sorry.
The Umbrella Academy has just released on Discovery on Netflix.
Discovery.
And I want to finish watching that as well. I've just started that. I don't know yet. It looks interesting, so I'm going to watch that. Then I might get into Night Flies. It's just I haven't heard good things about it, so I just didn't really watch it. There's things that I really into, like I mean, I like Counterpart. I know you don't, and it's been cancelled, which is really pissed me off. But they are shopping it to another thing, so you never know. Netflix or Amazon might pick it up. It'll do better on Amazon anyway. No, I haven't. In other words,
okay. All right, let me just run down the story for you quickly. All right, there's an alien spaceship it's floating just outside our solar system. And they want to take a spacecraft called the Night Flyer out there to investigate it, because maybe, just maybe, they will have some technology that might help out humanity. Now, they've been detecting waves of what they believe is psychic energy, so they're going to bring along a telepath, because in this version of reality, they have telepaths. The downside is that the telepaths are a little bit dangerous, and they kind of seem like they are in B5, which is kind of ironic. Where they can cause, issues. And there's an example of a little girl who was on a shuttle from the moon to Earth or something, and she freaked out. And because she freaked out, it caused everyone on the shuttle to freak out, and they started killing each other. So people look at them with kind of, a bit dodgy. And then on top of that, you got your captain, who's locked away in the aft of the ship in his own little personal thing, and he appears as a hologram, which I really liked because it made him a lot more fucking interesting, and there's nothing better than an interesting character. And there appears to be what I thought was some kind of AI virus, which turns out to be the captain's mother. It does, don't. Who's trying to kill people off, and it's a bit 2001 in that respect, where she's just literally, it's like every episode it was like, oh, there's an extra, oh, what's he doing? He's in a cargo container. Let's lock the cargo container and fill it full of gas. And then it's like kind of, oh, we have these spider drone things that go outside and fix the ship. They've got these cutting lasers on. Let's cut someone's face off. And it's literally, they have these things, and for like 3, maybe 4 episodes, they do like kind of, oh, here's something dangerous. Oh, computer's gone out of control and killed someone with it. They didn't flush anyone out into space, which was disappointing. Because that's usually a classic one, the flush out into space. Feels a bit Event Horizon. And then it's really weird because in the first couple of episodes, right, the lighting is quite poor. And this lady, who's a black lady, you can't, I'm going to be rude, you can't see her. And she could be acting in that lack of light, and I'm missing it. But when you get to the end, they've done the complete opposite, where everything is too fucking bright now, and it's like being in the fucking J.J. Abrams verse. So it's like, guys, a happy fucking medium, please. So yeah, it's worth a watch. You're gonna have to. It's a C.
Okay,
it's a proper 5 on the scale. Yeah, it's give it 4 episodes. The normal 4 episode rule.
Fair enough. So one last thing you wanted to quickly talk about is Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol.
Which I didn't realise had the first episode. I thought it was a trailer, but no, it's a full-on episode.
No, it's a. Because I've got fucking... You know what it's like on YouTube, when you use YouTube, you watch one thing, yeah? And then YouTube thinks that's the only thing you want to watch.
Yes, it's really annoying.
So I watched one fucking trailer for Doom Patrol, and then I've just... My feed is just full of Doom Patrol stuff because everybody's putting bits out. And I didn't... like Keith, I didn't realise it had aired. I thought it was an advert for it until I saw a clip of the last part of the episode that they put out. Now it's got Timothy Dalton in it as Captain Doom Patrol, the Professor, who's like Professor X, but not like Professor X for legal reasons.
That's not Timothy Dalton. Is it?
Who is it? Yeah, I'm sure it's Timothy Dalton.
No, somebody different in the Titans, and this is a spin-off of the Titans.
No, not in this one. No, this maybe it's a bit. No.
No, the Doom Patrol are in an episode of Titans because
this one is Timothy Dalton is the leader in the wheelchair.
Oh no, yes, he's not the. Is he? Hang on.
It's Timothy fucking Dalton.
I'm googling this shit because the guy that turns up in
it is. It's Timothy Dalton. I've got it here on IMDb. It's Timothy Dalton as Chief something.
Okay,
because it doesn't have that. So yeah, you've got that. That's a pretty big coup for them. So they've got what was it? They've got all their characters, and they're all supposed to be misfits and whatnot. So you've got Brendan Fraser from The Mummy, who is he's bigger than me, and he plays. He's not in the suit, but he does the voice of Robot Man.
Yes, he is. Yeah,
who's a NASCAR driver who has an accident. Then you've got Elastigirl, who was a Hollywood star, who was like kind of, if you're not good enough or you're not pretty enough, then you can't do it. But she was she insisted that she did her own stunts, and she swam through a pool of shit, which then caused her to break down. So she turns into a puddle like Odo from Thingy. And then you've got the test pilot who gets hit with a wave of something like the Fantastic Four. They've made him gay in this for some reason, because sexuality is more fucking important than telling a good story. He's the negative man who can like project his body out. He's got like kind of like electric bits in it. They got Cyborg in it, who was never in the Doom Patrol, I've been told.
No.
But they put Cyborg in it.
He wasn't in the Titans episode called the Doom Patrol, funny enough.
Yeah. So yeah, that's amusing. And then you've got there's a girl who's got like fucking multiple personalities and whatnot, and I can't remember her name, and I can't see her name on the list. But there's a character who's got like she's like Legion in Legion, where he's got multiple personalities, but she has powers attached to these personalities. Now, I've been watching stuff on you because my YouTube feed's full of fucking Doom Patrol stuff. So I've been watching stuff about the characters and stuff, and how Doom Patrol appeared about 6 months before the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always one of these things: who's ripping off who? I'm afraid the X-Men did it better. That's why we know the X-Men and we don't know Doom Patrol. But they were talking about the characters and bits in there and how they changed some of the story on it, because the chief character, who's the Professor X Timothy Dalton person, in the original run, he was just picking people up from accidents. But when they redid it in the late 80s, early 90s, they had it so he was responsible for their accidents, and he caused those accidents so he could recruit them, which I think will be quite interesting. The bad guy.
Interestingly, just as a piece of information, that he was recast in the Titans. It was played by a different actor.
Okay.
So that's why I
that's
got
fine.
a bit confused.
Yeah, sorry. The girl's called Crazy Jane.
Yes.
Who's got the 60-something personalities crammed in her head, all with different powers and whatnot. And the bad guy's a guy called Mr. Nobody, who's Eric Morden, which brings us back to our B5 reference earlier. See, I didn't think it through whatsoever. So yeah, it actually looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the trailers thinking, God, where can I find this now so I can watch this now? Because I'm more than willing to buy the episode. But there's nothing around at the moment, so I'll probably have to wait till next week.
It's a bit like the Titans. It's airing on DC's streaming thing in the States, and so it'll probably come to Netflix, but it'll be a while because Titans finished airing before it even came onto Netflix. It's part of DC's streaming service, because this is a problem in the States. There's so many fucking streaming services now. I'm saving my money. I will probably have to get Disney Plus if it goes into the UK, but yes, because I want to see that Star Wars series. I know you're over it, but I actually think the Star Wars series might be quite good.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And all the Marvel stuff, but then Brie Larson is doing her level fucking best to destroy the MCU at the moment. It's funny you should say, you mentioned about YouTube and showing you videos and stuff. People have been extra critical of Captain Marvel in the last week. Have all had quite a few people like Bowstreak, another guy I watch, have had manual demonetizations. Like somebody has manually watched that video and demonetized it. Anything that's critical of especially Brie Larson. It's interesting.
The thing do you know what I find amusing is the fact that they were like kind of, it's on track to make $160 million. It's on track to make up $140 million, $120 million, $100 million, and next week it will go down again to probably 80. Because she can't keep her fucking mouth shut.
And Disney
you can hold those. I think Bob Iger, because Bob Iger made a joke saying, "Oh yes, we can have a Captain America land with Captain America this and not Captain America, Captain Marvel this and Captain Marvel that." And I think he was joking, because I think he looked at it and he went, "This is going to be a publicity disaster. I warned you guys about this." Shit. But she is the harbinger of the end. But here's the ironic thing, is that the Avengers is referred to as Endgame.
Yeah.
which is like the end.
That's apparently a reference to the line that Doctor Strange says in the film. That's what they're saying.
No. I'm talking about Endgame, as in like this is it. It's game over.
That's what it's beginning to look like. Yeah.
Yeah. They look like they're going to kill it, and it takes 15 years to destabilize a fucking country, according to the Russians.
It won't be the biggest flop of the year, though, Captain Marvel. I think it is going to be a flop, but apparently Alita Battle Angel, which cost something reportedly 200 odd million to make, has taken 20 million in the States on its opening weekend. Ouch.
Do you know what? I watched that.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
I think it looks good.
I watched the original manga back in like '96 when it was on Channel 4, and I had problems with it. And the biggest problem I had was that the character looked like she was never going to lose a fight, and therefore there was no tension in the fights. And the fights could look as cool as they want, unless there was a chance that she was going to die. I wasn't interested in it. Which the director fixed and did a really good fucking job at that. I did find it irritating because I remember at the end of the cartoon or the manga or whatever, they never really resolved the bad guy, the Nova bad guy in it, which drove me fucking wild. And they did the same in this. I thought they were gonna, because they showed Ed Norton as the bad guy, which I don't think they did in the thingy, because I think it just took part underneath in the refuse dump where she was found. Just trying to remember it, and that made me go, because that irritated the shit out of me. That really did. If you build it up, you've got to fucking let it go. And it wasn't like this was part one. I don't think they did another part immediately after, or even within a couple of years after. I know the comic book does resolve it, but if you don't set a bad guy up and not knock him down, that's where you can fuck me up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree. I might go and see it. Because it's apparently got amazing effects. I mean, apparently it is. Production on it looks incredible.
There's something about Robert Rodriguez that he can make a film while I'm asleep. That's how talented a filmmaker he is. Yeah, I can wake up and he's already fucking finished the film off. Yeah, if he says he's going to make something, he's probably already made it. Yeah, he's made it. It's out, and it's just being checked by the censors to make sure it doesn't have anything out of line in it. But it was a good film. There's a few bits in it where it's a bit clanky because she's got big eyes and a small head.
Yeah,
to make her look like the character. She looks fine when you're looking at her on her own, or when she's around the other kind of cyborg characters. But when you put her next to a human and you film her from a certain angle, you'll notice this and you'll go, it looks a bit off. It's not the fact that it looks bad, just looks off. So yeah. Okay, so I think it's worth a watch. It's not, I don't give it a high recommendation, but if it's like you're going to the cinema and you don't know what to watch, then give it a go, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. Well, I think it's time for your bell. Come on, give us... Hey! Right.
Yes.
Well, I think you now have permission to go back and crawl into bed.
Yes, I'm going to crawl back into bed. It's just the fact that I've taken a load of medication. It hasn't quite yet kicked in. Because my face and everything fucking hurt. On another note, I bought Alien Blackout to play in bed, so I'll tell you how about that next week.
Fair enough.
Should be interesting.
All right.
So yeah, you can go back to Nigel.
Okay.
I don't know how you're going to cut me in. I'd like you to cut me in mid-conversation if you could.
Shut up, Nigel.
Bye.
Go catch a fish. Bye. And we're back. Well, thank you, Gareth. That was very nice. Well done there.
Well done. You've spoken.
Yeah, he spoke. I mean, well done you. An achievement.
Congrats, mate.
Right. Well, me and Nigel are now going to have a bit of a chat about shooting the shit with Netflix and a few things, because it's interesting what's going on at the moment. I mean, not just with Netflix, really, Amazon as well, because Amazon just pretty much bought everything at Sundance this year. It lays the question open of is Netflix's influence on this thing good or not? Because
Good on what? What thing?
Like the whole cinema experience. So, like when you go to there's a whole thing in going to the cinema. There's something special, even now, even with the multiplexes and stuff, and actually, like the smaller chains are becoming more fashionable again. I mean, you've got the Lightbox near Gareth, which is a chain, but it's a very small chain, and it does it very differently.
Yeah, I've been there with Gareth, and it is very good. Actually, I did enjoy. I've been there once. It was nice.
But it's more like the old-fashioned, or they're trying to create more of an experience of going to see a film. There aren't many Lightbox chains. They're not like the multiplex, like Odeons and Views, and to a lesser extent Cineworld. So you've got Everyman Cinemas, which are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that kind of cinematic experience is really good. I mean, I went to see Solo back at the very first cinema I ever went to as a kid, and Everyman bought it, and they've done it up. But there are certain elements that are still there from when I was a kid, but they've kind of, made it their own, because at one point ABC Cinemas, that then became or got bought out by Odeon, turned a 2-screen cinema into a 5-screen, and they almost desolated the main auditorium, which is a crying shame because it was an amazing auditorium. But going back to see the Solo there with my wife, like 35 years after I first went there, it was quite special. And I still quite like Solo. I know a lot of people don't, but I quite enjoyed it. It's certainly better than The Last Jedi. But
it was okay. It came onto Netflix, I think. Solo did. Was it Netflix?
But you've got
this. It was on Sky Cinema, so I watched Solo. Yeah,
You've got more and more films now coming straight to the thing. So you've got the Bird Box, which is one Gareth reviewed, and it was a mediocre film, but it worries me that Netflix and to a lesser extent Amazon are basically making movies and cutting out the cinema. But having said that, there are so many things now coming onto Netflix that otherwise just wouldn't get made. I mean, literally, Netflix is in the stage at the moment of throwing money at everything and seeing what sticks. And I kind of like that. So it's hard to be critical of this because there is so much shit that just would not be made anywhere else. And I say that, YouTube now is making a few things that are, again, quite interesting. But I think that's because of Netflix. I think Netflix were kind of the pioneers, and then Amazon came about, started doing stuff, and now YouTube are making some really interesting stuff. None of that, all of this stuff, never, ever would be on terrestrial TV. Just wouldn't. I mean, there's some really weird shows that I've actually quite enjoyed. There's the OA on Netflix, which is worth looking up. That's got a second season at some point. That's quite weird. There's Wayne, which has just come onto YouTube, which is a very dark but quite funny comedy. There's obviously the Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, which is fucking excellent.
I need to see that.
Oh, dude, it's brilliant. It is fucking brilliant. There's no two ways about it. I love it. It's such a homage to those really cool 80s films. Then you've got obviously Origin that Gareth and I watched on YouTube. But I worry, but I don't worry at the same time. Does that make any sense to you?
I still think, yeah, I see what you mean. Netflix is doing quite a lot of this chucking money at things. However, I think there's still going to be a market for your, I don't know what you'd call them, your blockbusters and so forth in the cinema. And typically, I think the cinema, you're right, is more of an experience. Although I find for a family of 4, I've got to pay a fair bit of cash to go see a film in cinema. which is one of the reasons why I didn't want to fork out for Solo. And then it was free for me to watch on Sky Cinema as part of my package, and I went, yeah, why not? It's free, and I'll watch it at home. Perfect. So Netflix, yeah, although they started off showing other people's films, they've sat there and gone, there's some films not being made here. They're not getting picked up by any studios because they're so up their own arse. They're not going to make them. They're only going to make films directed by and written by people who are well known. So these people who have written some good stuff, they're not going to get made. So I like the way Netflix has sort of kicked this off. I think, didn't it start with Stranger Things?
No, the very first thing that Netflix made was House of Cards.
Or was it House of Cards?
Yeah.
Still, I don't know, I've not seen it. But yeah, you could see how they've they must have done that, and they've had a bit of a, people watching quite a lot of it. And they've gone, do you know what? Let's do another one. And another one, another one. And now they've sort of gone and got their machine gun out and gone, sprayed it everywhere and gone, money, 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 make. And we'll just see which ones are being watched the most. See what type are being watched the most. See which ones get good ratings. And then they might start scaling it down a little bit and, focusing a little bit more.
I mean, I admit I haven't seen that many movies of Netflix movies that I have enjoyed that well. I kind of agree with Gareth about Bird Box.
Haven't seen
Okajaya, which was the very first Netflix film that I saw. That is brilliant. That never would have been made without Netflix. And
I want to see that.
It's very, very good. It's very hard to watch in places. If you're an animal lover, it's incredibly difficult to watch in certain places. But the kid in it is brilliant. What's her face is deliciously weird, but then she's weird in every film that she's in. I've forgotten her name. The one that played the White Witch in Narnia, the weird one, the one that's in Doctor Strange. Oh God, Gasp!
What do you call it? Yeah, she would be.
You know who I mean. The weird one.
It was almost on top of my tongue then.
Yeah, it's going to bother me now. I've now got.
What was it? Is she the Master? Not the Master.
No, she was funny enough lined up to be Doctor Who, actually. Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton is the bad guy in that, and she's very good. And it's a very, very good film. It never would have been made. I don't think that film, had Netflix not thrown money at it, would have been made. And it was a film deserved to be made, if you know what I mean. So it depends, but I haven't seen anything. There is one called the Io, The Last on Earth, that I want to see. Don't know if it's any good.
I watched that. That is something I have seen.
Is it bad?
Io. Now, I don't think... Is that the one where you've got... let me just quickly look that up. Make sure it is that one. Yeah, I spent the entire time watching that, waiting for something to happen, hoping I'd see a little bit of Io, for example. What's that film that you told me that they never get to Mars, or they never get to another?
Oh God, yes, God, I can't remember what
you
that
said.
Was
don't
called,
bother watching it because their rocket exploded after it shortly took off.
Yeah,
and so I haven't watched any more of that since first episode. But it had a tinge of that for me because throughout the entire film, I felt nothing fucking happened. But make your mind up, because Io is one of Jupiter's moons, they're aiming for Io and all that sort of stuff, because there's a toxic cloud on Earth that is just growing, and people are trying to escape Earth, and they had done so by going up into the sky and into space. And this girl is one of the last on Earth and has a chance to leave, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm hoping to see her make it to the shuttle, get on the shuttle, and watch her journey out to Io. But, you know, it doesn't. Yeah, I was disappointed, I've got to say. But watch it and make your own mind up. Very, very disappointed.
There is another film called Velvet Buzzsaw that I want to I didn't know what it was, but I heard about it on the Empire podcast the other day because do you remember a Channel 4 series called Fresh Meat? It had Jack Whitehouse in it. What's his face?
Not really, no.
Do you know? It also had the guy, one of the guys from In Betweeners. You never watched Fresh Meat?
Don't think I have.
Oh, you're missing out. It was Jack Whitehall, not Jack Whitehouse. Jack Whitehall was in it, but there is a English actress called Zayn Ashton who played Vod, and Vod was fucking brilliant. I loved Vod, I really did. She was this druggy. She comes across as really stupid, but when you see this actress interviewed, the actress is really bright and really clever. I mean, this girl acts, writes, does all sorts of shit. She's incredible, and she's in this. And now that I know that she's in this, I want to see it. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it, so I want to see that. And it sounds like another one of these films that just would not be made without a company like Netflix throwing money at it. So there's stuff to be said, but I worry that this is going to become the norm. Because what I don't want to happen is for the cinema experience to be completely lost. But at the same time, there is a lot going on at the moment in Hollywood, and maybe we do need this kind of upset for Hollywood to pull its fucking finger out and start making decent films and accepting the fact that things like The Last fucking Jedi should never have been made. So, you know.
Yes. I'm worried because obviously Marvel are bringing out their own thing, and they're going to show all the Marvel
Disney.
Yeah. Disney are going to bring so all the Marvel things are going to come off Netflix.
Well, not quite, because this week we forgot to talk about this. This is quite interesting. This week, 4 animated series got announced. Marvel animated series, and they're going to be shown on Hulu or whatever they call it.
Hulu.
Now, interestingly, Hulu is owned by a multitude of the studios. Disney own 30%. Fox own 30%. Who have Disney just bought?
Disney bought Fox.
Exactly. So now who has a 60% controlling ownership in Hulu? I have a sneaking suspicion that Hulu is going to get swamped up into the Disney Plus service. But
it sounds like a move, doesn't it?
The interesting thing was one of those series is Howard the Duck. And it's been written by Kevin Smith. I'm sold. Have my fucking money. I will be watching that shit. Because 1, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. And 2, Howard the Duck. Which was Lucas' film, and it was a massive flop, and it was a shit movie. But Howard the Duck has made 2 appearances since in the MCU. And in both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he's in the final sort of sting.
He's in that weird place, isn't he? Like the collector.
And then he's in the bar in the second one. And I'm intrigued by it because Kevin Smith's writing it. So, have my money. I'm watching that.
I'm intrigued, yeah.
But Hulu, it's just interesting because, you know, Netflix has obviously lost all the Marvel series. And by the sounds of it, the Punisher second series isn't good. Gareth didn't rate it. But season 3 of Daredevil was good. And for that to get cancelled, it's a shame. But Hulu has been making noises about saying, you know, we could have Daredevil, we could have the fact that Disney is going to control Hulu basically after this Fox thing all goes through. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
I think they'll use that, won't they? Yeah. I'm just taking a quick look on here of list of Netflix originals. It's a fucking huge list.
Yeah.
But it does go back to 2013 when they did start to think about doing this. So yeah. Well, they've got loads of animations and stuff like that. Comedy things.
They got lots of TV series, but movies has been. I mean, they got Bright, which was that big Will Smith movie. That never would have got a cinematic release. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment.
Bright.
Some people loved it. Some people hated it.
Yeah, although Bright, I think, was the first Netflix original film that I watched, and I didn't mind it, actually. I thought it was fairly decent. I liked it. Yeah, I liked it.
I mean, Amazon, I haven't known Amazon until recently to have any kind of high-profile films, but they spent a hell of a lot of money at Sundance, apparently. So expect Amazon to be having a lot more movies on their thing. The trouble is, Prime Video. The one thing I don't like about Prime Video is it's on their main site. So and I don't think it is as well laid out or as well designed as Netflix. Netflix is to me a lot easier to use. But having said that, there's some really good shit on Amazon, and the fact that they're making Good Omens, which I can't wait for, especially now that the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch has been cast as the devil. That's genius, guys.
What was that name?
Good Omens. Terry Pratchett's Good Omens is this mini-series that's been banged. David Tennant, Michael Sheen as the two angels. So David Tennant is the bad angel, and you've got Michael Sheen as the good angel. If you don't know the story of Good Omens, it's brilliant. Terry Pratchett. Enough said, really. So it's Terry Pratchett and oh god, what's his face? Ah, bloody hell, Neil Gaiman. My brain is really not working tonight. This is what happens when you have a wife that is not allowed to do anything around the house. Not only do you have to take care of the house, 2 dogs, and do a full-time job, I'm fucked. Excuse me, my brain really isn't working this week. But yes, Good Omens coming to Amazon. Looks fucking awesome. Can't wait. Really can't wait. But
I'll have to wait on that. I'll see what happens. Yeah.
Trust me, I think you'll like it. There are an awful lot of films on there, but there are a few coming up. Nothing there that really. I mean, because you've had all those Adam Sandler films, and one of them,
of which I've not seen.
Yeah, they're not very good. Adam Sandler's been pretty much miss recently, with the exception of one, My Boy, which was really very, very funny. But yeah, there isn't a lot there now. Having said that, I mean, I'm just going through all the lists and seeing if I actually.
I watched. There was a film called Ark that I watched.
Yes,
on Netflix.
Yeah,
where the time keeps resetting at the start, and they try figuring out what's going on every time they wake up, and they remember fragments of their last time that they were there, sort of thing. It's actually, I liked it. It's only an hour and a half, but it was decent. Decent film, actually. Not a film for the cinema, maybe, but I think it's a decent Netflix film to sit in front of your TV and watch. Bright, like you say, I'm not sure if that could have made it in the cinema. I don't think that has that wide mass appeal.
Was quite a good film with the guy that played Frasier and the woman that's
John Cain.
No, he plays a father, like an estranged father, and he's forced into going on a cruise with his sort of, estranged daughter, and the daughter is played by the voice of one of the things in Frozen. She's in The Good Place at the moment. I've forgotten her name, but it's actually quite a good film. That's a Netflix film. Something Father, I can't remember it. It's Kelsey Grammer, isn't it? Is his name?
Kelsey Grammer.
That's really good. That's really good. Father of, I think, is it called? No, that's not that one. I don't know.
Oh, I watched Mowgli. That's Netflix.
Mowgli. That's Netflix. Yes, you're right. And yes, it is quite good.
Mowgli. Yeah, I would
Although the
say
kid is
Mowgli.
annoying.
Yeah, the kid's a bit annoying, but that could well have been a cinema film. I think it had the production to be in the cinema.
And there's the Christmas Chronicles, which did quite well with Kirk Douglas as Santa Claus. And
I can't remember that.
It's this year. But it's Kirk Douglas as a kick-ass kind of Santa Claus that doesn't do ho ho ho. But the nice touch at the end of it is that at the end of it he arrives back home and Mrs. Claus comes in, and Mrs. Claus is Goldie Hawn, which I thought was quite cool actually, because obviously Kurt Russell is married to her. That was quite cool. I mean, the casting here in the list as Bandersnatch has been a film. It's not. It's a TV episode. It's just a one-off episode of something really.
Bandersnatch. Technically, it's a film. However, it's not. It's interactive, so it's more of an interactive. It's an interactive movie, and you can't do that in the cinema. You just can't.
But
plus,
I mean,
yeah,
I hope to God that that Netflix keeps this, throw money at everything and see what sticks stage, at least for a few years' time. Oh, and by the way, Netflix, dear producers of Netflix or Amazon, if you are listening here, I have a request of you. There's a little TV series that's just been cancelled by crappy Stars Network. You're crappy because you cancelled this. Gareth doesn't like this. I fucking love this TV series. This is the TV series that nobody's talking about, and it's fucking good. It's an example of really good writing, and it's been cancelled, and I'm pretty fucked off. So Netflix, can you please pick up Counterpart or Amazon, either one of you, please? I need a third season, because I damn well know that the second season's finishing on a fucking cliffhanger.
What was it called?
Counterpart. Right, we talked about this the other week, and you can't watch it because apparently you have to pay a shit ton of money to watch it on Amazon Prime, on top of your Amazon Prime thing, because it's a Stars thing. Basically, it's a TV series that I think they couldn't get made anywhere else. The trouble is, it's really good. Now, Gareth doesn't like it that much. I get it. It's not his cup of tea, but to me, it is very good writing. The guy, do you remember what's their face? His brother, Blondie gets my tits out in Games of Thrones a lot. Brother, Daenerys, her brother.
Oh yeah,
right. The actor, the actor that played her brother is in this, and he starts off, you really hate him, like really despise him, pretty much like you hate him in Game of Thrones, but throughout he's kind of redeemed himself. And he's had a really good character. It's got J.K. Simmons, who is fucking amazing in everything he ever does. That he was the only good thing in Justice League. He was Commissioner Gordon in Justice League. He is in one of my favourite movies of all time. It's certainly my top 10. And he was utterly brilliant in that. He is the only person that can ever play Jonah Jameson on screen, ever. So if you're listening, MCU, if you're going to put Jameson in Spider-Man, cast J.K. Simmons. He's the only one that can do it. There's no one else. That's probably a lie, but he was brilliant. He was the newspaper guy in the Spider-Man movies, the Tobey Maguire ones.
I can't remember. It's too long ago.
You know when he tries to get a job and there's a guy that hates Spider-Man? That's J.K. Simmons. He's bald now, but he's utterly brilliant in this.
Right.
So yeah.
I don't know, but hey, I do see what you mean about the whole is cinema dying because of Netflix and Prime doing their thing. Although I don't think the stuff that they're putting out is too blockbustery, except for maybe Mowgli could have been,
right,
and potentially Do you remember this? They did Netflix did a sequel to Hidden Tiger, Jumping Dragon, or whatever it's called.
I know, and I still haven't watched that.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. They've done a sequel, Sword of Destiny. I've not
Jumping Tiger.
Jumping Tiger, Hidden Sprouton. I don't know. I could never remember. Yeah, but they did a sequel to it after so many years of that film, and that was a major film back in the day, and potentially that could have been in the cinema. And I haven't been very compelled to visit the cinema and watch any films that have been pushed out recently because I just don't think it's worth the money. The films themselves aren't really grabbing it. Maybe Lego Movie 2, but I'm not so sure. Well, no, you can't.
But I'm glad I saw Lego Batman movie at the cinema. I still love that movie. I love that film.
I don't know. I've not seen it.
Oh, dude, you're missing out. You really are. Lego Batman movie's good. It's not as good as the Lego movie, but it's good. No, I mean, and this is the problem. I mean, the last few times we've been to the cinema, we've enjoyed ourselves. But then we saw Aquaman, which, you would have to see at the cinema.
I haven't seen.
What did we see before that me and them really enjoyed? Oh God, I've forgotten. And it's a bit of a flop, I think it was. I can't remember what we saw, but we really fucking enjoyed it. And that's bugging me. That's going to bug me now. We saw something at the cinema. I really enjoyed it, but I can't remember what it was. But Lem enjoyed Aquaman. Aquaman was good. I think that's the last film we saw at the cinema was Aquaman. We are obviously got a very busy couple of months coming up. See, I've got this debate. I get where Gareth is coming from, but I don't know if I should go and see Captain Marvel or not, because based upon what Brie Larson is saying and doing, fuck off, you stupid bitch. Sorry, but really. But it has got Samuel L. Jackson in it, and apparently the dog's good.
I haven't paid any attention to what this Brie Larson person is saying. I've no idea, so it hasn't affected me.
It will if you hear it. It's really, really bad. I mean, it really bad. God knows what. If I was a Disney executive now, I'd be gagging her, quite literally gagging her, because I mean, I think Gareth mentioned this earlier in our chat, or at least somebody did. Estimations of Marvel opening weekend was going to be 150 million, and that's already been revised down to 100 million
because of her.
As Gareth says, harbinger of the end of the MCU. And I don't think he's entirely wrong. I think this might be Marvel's first flop. And I hope to God that, combined with everything else that Disney have done recently, sends big fucking message to them. Stop pissing off your fan bases. Because you are not going to make all these mega bucks that you think you are, because if you piss off the people that pay you the mega bucks, you ain't gonna have mega bucks. It's as simple as that. You look at what happened with Last of the Jedi, and Solo is a prime fucking example of it. And it looks like it's about to happen with Marvel, and it makes me sad. It does. It really, really does. But interestingly, there is now, even though, and it shocks me, and I said I wasn't going to talk to you about it, and I'm not really, but it looks like Star Trek Discovery, or STD, might get a third season, which is mind-bending. I mean, these people are doing it. Who is fucking watching this? Seriously. Okay, me and Gareth watch it to see what they're going... It's interesting to see what they're next going to fuck up. I bet you that's why half of their fucking views are coming from. It's people going, oh, this is Car Crash TV. Let's see how woke they are this week. And it was really bad this week. Seriously. I mean, oh, dear God.
That's all right. You've discussed it with Gareth, so...
2 women and a gay guy were the heroes this week. Oh dear. Anyway, right. I think you're right. We've digressed a bit. I think you're right about Netflix. I don't think they're going to replace cinema. But there are some. What I want them to do is send a message to Hollywood to say, look, start throwing some money at some of these more chances again. Take a chance on something and see, because I think we're becoming more and more susceptible now to new ideas again. I think people are getting sick and tired of the same shit in the cinema. And I think comic book movies, and I know we're geeks and we talk about them all the time, I think comic book movies have a limited shelf life. And I think we need to start seeing Hollywood take a chance again, because at the moment they're playing it too safe, and they're chucking money. When they chuck money at things that are just batshit crazy, like Alita: Battle Angel, which me and Gareth briefly touched upon in the chat. That cost $200 million to make. I mean, don't get me wrong, the effects in it look incredible, but that's going to be one of the biggest flops in history. It made $20 million in its opening weekend in the States. $20 million. For a $200 million budget.
I saw it. I was in town and I had a little look, and there was no. My cinema's got this 4DX sort of thing. I don't know what extra that gives you, maybe shaky seats or whatever. But there was no option to watch it as normal, and it was twice the price of a normal ticket. So instead of being 30 quid, it was 60 quid for the family of 4. And I went, well, we can't go watch that. I'm not spending 60 quid on something where I should really only be spending 30, because they've not given me the option to watch it in a normal 2D screen, and they're forcing me to go down the 4D route. Although I wouldn't mind to watch stuff in 4D, I don't fancy that. So... yeah. They're forcing you to go down that route, and I went, well, it's missing out on cash. Bye. It might be shit like that, but although I don't know.
4DX is sound, smell, and you're right, shaky seats. But you're meant to have smells and air and water and all sorts of shit. It's meant to make you more immersive in the movie. I haven't yet seen a 4DX movie. I'll be intrigued to see one, but there's no 4DX cinemas where I live. Although, the Thais could teach the West a few things about cinemas, trust me. Even the multi-chains here are way better than our multi-chains by a country fucking mile. Although you still have to stand up for the national anthem here. Yeah. Trust me.
What, in the cinema?
Yeah, we wound up somebody. We took somebody to the cinema, visitor last year. We went and saw Kingsman, The Golden Circle, and we took him to the cinema, and he sat down, and he was a bit sleepy, and we thought he'd drifted off once or twice. And of course, the national anthem comes on, so everybody stands up. He goes, "Oh, what's going on?" I said, "Oh, the film's over. Come on, mate." And he bought it for about 5 seconds, and then realised, "No, hang on." Had no idea. So that was quite funny. But no, I have to say, just to finish, Netflix, I quite like the disruption they're doing at the moment. Although Gareth and me did say a few days ago, we haven't been all that impressed this year. I think the Umbrella Academy might be the first good thing this year.
Could be. We are only in February.
Yes, we are, but we do need something, because all my favourite TV series are becoming shit now. The Arrow is bleh. The Flash sounds like they're losing Cisco, and that'll be it. That's done, because Cisco's my favourite character. Cisco's gone, that's it. No more Flash for me. Supergirl is shockingly bad. I stopped watching Black Lightning out of fucking principle.
I watched one episode of Black Lightning. Not really for me.
I stopped watching it out of principle, because if that was white people, if it was called White Lightning, that show would be branded the most racist thing on TV. So out of principle, I am not watching it anymore, because Double principles. So yeah, all my favourite shows are getting shit. So yeah, it's I'm pissed off. And the ones that I really like and get into are getting fucking cancelled. What the fuck? Oi! So yes. But season four of The Expanse is coming. Thank you. Because that is the best thing on TV. Fucking hands down the best thing on TV.
Wasn't that cancelled?
Got cancelled on Sci-Fi, and me and Gareth were quaking in our boots. And then finally, thank you, Jeff Bezos. Thank you. You might be the richest man in the world, but I fucking love you.
So it's on Amazon.
Saved it. Yeah, Jeff Bezos saved it because he likes the books. That was the reason.
I bet your bottom dollar. It won't be Amazon Prime. It will be that fucking Skylark thing they're doing.
No. It's Amazon Prime because they've just released season 3 now on there, and it's on Amazon Prime. So if you haven't seen season 3, it's available on Amazon Prime right now. It's epic. The end of it is slightly rushed because they thought they were getting cancelled, but it's worth a watch. Really, really good. Though the first 6 episodes of season 3 are fucking phenomenal, and that final episode, the final seconds of that episode, got Gareth very, very excited. Me, once I'd finished the book, very, very excited. So season 4, can't wait. Fucking can't wait.
Oh, I'll add that to my watch list then. Just just found it. Cool.
Oh, dude, it's season 3, awesome. You watch it.
I have to try and remember what happened in season 2 and whatnot. It's not for now, but definitely need to watch it. So, I think we've nattered on a little bit about Netflix.
This is probably the longest podcast. This is probably the longest podcast with Gareth Pitt inserted that we've done in a long while. But no, who cares?
And just as
we've had a winter.
It was something that I was going to mention about Netflix. We come across. I think we might have even mentioned it on a previous podcast, so I went away and watched it again. It was Dead Set. It's a zombie.
You told me, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie Brooker.
Charlie Brooker, you said.
Charlie Brooker wrote it, and produced it or whatever. And it was done in 2008, very shortly after Big Brother had finished, and they released that. And they actually had the host of Big Brother doing it in it as well as the host of.
It's Davina
McCall's in it.
Davina McCall. You're live. Don't say shit. Fuck a bugger.
Yes. yeah.
Brilliant.
And so, for those of you in America who's not sure what Big Brother is, I'm sure you must have had some sort of Big Brother program over in America.
No. They've got Big Brother. It's on there now. America knows what Big Brother is.
So it's all around Big Brother and a zombie outbreak. So the people inside the house haven't a fucking clue that a zombie outbreak has happened until, they start doing all sorts of shit in the house, and they realise that the cameras aren't moving, nobody's talking to them, they can't get in to talk to Big Brother in the little room and all that sort of stuff, and they end up going, do you know what, fuck it, and they climb up on the roof. Yeah. And people, one of the runners for the show finds a way in, escaping from a fucking zombie that's in the background of it, in the corridors that are behind the walls, So, yeah, we watched it. The first episode's about an hour long. It sets a scene, and each episode following that, there's 5 in total, is about 25 minutes. So it's worth a little bit of your time to watch if you've never seen it, and it's on Netflix. So, seeing as we're talking about Netflix, that's something I've been watching on Netflix. Definitely worth a shot. It is a very good zombie series, and it's a single series. Very, very good.
Yes, it's based on the UK Big Brother.
Yeah.
But yes, America very much has Big Brother, unfortunately, and I think it's still on the airwaves, or it was recently. I listened to an American podcast every day, and they were moaning about that.
They did have a few cameos from actual Big Brother housemates in it as well.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, having a little get together party thing in the studios and whatnot, and they turn them.
Oh yeah, there's one thing I mentioned before we go. Is the other thing that they bitch and moan about on this bloody American podcast. If you're one of our American listeners, please stop moaning about The Masked Singer, because I've had to sit through that fucking thing for the last 2.5 years. So stop bitching about it. You've only had it for a few months. My wife is obsessed with that fucking program, and try watching it when it's in Thai. It's even more difficult to understand what the fuck is going on. And it's huge here. I mean, it's massive here. Have a look. Masked Singer. It's basically B-grade or C-grade celebrities dressed up in masks singing the song, while other C-grade celebrities have to guess who they are. And it originally came out of Korea, but it is massive here. Absolutely.
I've no idea what you're talking about, mate.
It's just hit the American screens, and it's very talked about at the moment. But I just thought, stop moaning about it. I've had to put up with it for years. Anyway, I think we should end the show, Nigel, because if we don't, but yes, but I will say this: definitely watch Dead Set. It's really good.
Definitely watch Dead Set,
even though it's 10 years old.
If you like a zombie program and you liked The Walking Dead but thought it's lost its way a little bit, this is similar-ish, except for it's Walking Dead stroke 28 days later, because they look more like rage-infected people who fucking hell they can run, and it, if you were in their shoes, fuck me, you'd be scared.
That's Zack Snyder's next project is a zombie movie, and guess where it's coming to? Netflix. Really, seriously. Zack Snyder's next big project is this fucking zombie movie, which sounds interesting, even though it's Zack Snyder. But I think Zack Snyder could probably pull off a zombie movie. That's coming to Netflix. So yes, and while you're at it, check out Cockneys versus Zombies. That's another one. I
need to see that. That is on Netflix. I've seen that. I haven't seen it, but I want to see it.
Dude, if you've never seen that, it is amazing. It is amazing. Amazing film. There's a bit, it's one of what's his, oh God, I can't remember him, but he died very soon after he made this film. But he's an old guy on a Zimmer throne. He's going, run, granddad, run. And this guy's moving along and the zombie's going, yeah. But it's all in slow motion. But it's not. It's in real time. It's so fucking funny. And there's a bit where they're pushing the pram along and this kid picks up the baby and then sees it's a zombie baby and just drops it.
Oh no.
It's fucking brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. I love Cockneys versus Zombies. It's brilliant. It's on a par, in my opinion, with Shaun of the Dead. Now, don't get me wrong, Shaun of the Dead will always be gold standard comedy zombie movie. This is not bad. This is really fucking funny. It's the bit where the zombies chasing the old man and they're going at the same place. Fucking brilliant. Oh dear. Check that out. Anyway, yes, we really should end because this has been a fucking mammoth podcast this week.
Absolutely has.
And I've had to sit through all of it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hopefully, all three of us will be back together next week. I'm surprised because you guys got to talk about Walking Dead because it's back, and somehow miraculously it's got a season 9. So more of the Walking Dead to come. So yes, tune in next week, and we will see you then. So it's bye-bye from me.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for downloading the Monkey Nut Punch podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Monkey Nut Punch. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Monkey Nut Punch.